My name is Hilke, class of '99, and I have the distinct honor of introducing our speakers today. Before I do, I just want to steal a couple of minutes to highlight a personal point of connection between where I am now in my life and my experience here at Green Mountain College. So everybody, I think, gets something different from their college experience. For me, college was not about walking away with a career or a profession in hand, but it was about being exposed to what was possible for me. I came here for the environmental focus, but I didn't know if it was environmental policy or environmental science or outdoor recreation, among so many other options to pursue. And for me, Green Mountain College really fulfilled that promise, that contract. It met those expectations by exposing me to a myriad of different paths and variations to study. I was walking around today and I, not surprisingly, was flooded with memories of my time here. And I witnessed all of these interactions between students and between faculty and students. And my memories of my time here shifted just a bit, and it really dawned on me the extent to which not only were my expectations of what GMC should offer me were met, but the extent to which they were really exceeded. And they were exceeded in that I was introduced to all of these new ideas, fields of study, and interests in a very personal way. I was not in an auditorium class of 150 students where finding time with your professor is a long shot. I was in small classes, chatting with my professors every day. My experience at GMC felt like a partnership between myself and my professors, a partnership with the school. And I never felt isolated on my academic journey here. Over time, I appreciate that more and more, and I am appreciative of how unique that opportunity for partnership is. And I'm thankful to have had it. From my perspective, Green Mountain College rocks, and I am thrilled to still be connected to this place. So with that little segue, I'd now like to introduce Mr. Bob Allen. Now, I'm going to read just a bit here about his background because it's pretty impressive. Bob Allen began his tenure here at Green Mountain College in July of 2016 with the goal of strengthening its position as the country's leading small environmental liberal arts and science college. Bob is widely respected and experienced leader of academic and business institutions in both the for and nonprofit sectors. From 2011 until 2016, he served as president and CEO of the Wyndham Foundation and its operating company, the Grafton Village Cheese Company. From 1982 until 2005, Bob served as president and CEO of the Vermont Country Store, and during his tenure, grew the company from a $4 million to $100 million in annual sales, transitioning it from a traditional catalog retailer to a major player in the online and digital space. In 2010, Bob worked as interim president and CEO of the nonprofit Direct Marketing Association, headquartered in New York. Bob currently serves on the board of directors for a lot of places, including Burlington's Gardner Supply Company, J.K. Adams, the Vermont Country Store. His previous nonprofit board associations include the Dorset School Board, Burr and Burton Academy, the Preservation Trust of Vermont, the Vermont Institute of Natural Science, the Orton Family Foundation, the Long Trail School, the historic Deerfield, Massachusetts, and he also served as the chair of the Board of Trustees for Champlain College and on the Committee on Diversity and Inclusion. Bob is an outdoor enthusiast and an avid cyclist, typically riding an ungodly 4,000 miles a year in and around the Green Mountain State. The first member of his family to attend college. He graduated magna cum laude in mathematics with a minor in economics from the University of Rhode Island. He and his wife Karen are residents of Dorset, Vermont. They have 2 children, daughter Chelsea and a son Connor. Bob, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Chris. Chris promised, or asked me to promise not to read his entire biography, and I won't do that, but I do want to let you know, he is our moderator for today. I want to let you know a little bit more about Chris. He works as manager of climate adaptation at the National Wildlife Federation. He works principally with the Army Corps of Engineers and of course with National Wildlife on coastal habitats and risk reduction. Chris, as he said, has a BA in Environmental Studies from Green Mountain College and a Master's in Conservation Biology from Antioch. So, and Chris is, again, our moderator for today, and I want to thank him a lot. He's committed a lot of time to being here and to helping us all out today. So thank you, Chris. So my bio is accurate, or sort of accurate. The 4,000 miles since coming on at Green Mountain College has diminished by about half. And Tom Mospeel will be up later to talk a little bit about a cycling story, which is actually our keynote today, is a relationship that developed on a bicycle last fall. So I want to talk about, I have 2 very short stories for today. One is a story that started 50 years ago when I was a freshman at the University of Rhode Island, 1967. And the other story really started about 2 weeks ago, and I'll start with the first story. I was coming back from a visit to my grandniece in Charlottesville, Virginia, and also I was visiting an alum from the class of 1960 in Charlottesville. And I was listening to a podcast, How I Built This. Does anybody listen to How I Built This? Does it mean anything to anybody? Well, if it doesn't, if it didn't before today, please think about it. So How I Built This is moderated by Guy Raz, who is actually the host of TED Talks. So How I Built This, he interviews entrepreneurs and sort of just in a half hour or so learns their story. The first one I listened to was Yvon Chouinard, which probably most of you in this audience are familiar with, the founder of Patagonia, originally called the Great Pacific Iron Works. And the second one was Gordon Siegel, and he and his wife founded Crate and Barrel, again, another major retailer in the U.S. At the end of the Crate and Barrel podcast, he said, and now I want to tell you a story about one of you, or one of us. And it's a perfect, an absolutely perfect Green Mountain College story. So imagine a young college graduate, goes right out of undergraduate school, becomes an investment banker. And after a relatively short period of time, decides he needs a break. And so he decides to go surfing for 6 months. He goes on a surfing expedition and ends up in El Salvador. And in El Salvador, he's a very observant young man. He looks up and he notices that most of the roofs in this this small village that he was living and surfing in had very colorful roofs. And the roofs were actually made out of billboards. And so he's thinking now, how is that possible? Billboards are made of paper, and it's actually now roofing material. Well, he soon discovers, and I didn't discover until I listened to this podcast, that billboards really aren't made out of paper. They're made out of PVC. They're made out of vinyl. And so he, again, started thinking, so what could I do with billboards that are destined for the landfill? Being a surfer, his first thought was, well, I'll make surfboard covers. So he started making surfboard covers out of recycled billboards, and to this day he built a business called Rareform that is actually essentially rescuing billboards from the landfill, making those into cargo bags and backpacks, and still makes surfboard covers. So I thought that was a perfect kind of Green Mountain College story to kick off the TED Talks this afternoon. The other story, again, briefly, well, maybe not so briefly, but certainly not brief in my life, started 50 years ago. and I was a freshman at the University of Rhode Island, mathematics major, mathematics student. And at the end of my first semester, I was looking at my classes for second semester, and there was a geometry class offered. And I was looking and thinking, wow, that'd be great. I love geometry, I still to this day. And somebody told the geometry, I think it was Chuck Lacey told the geometry story earlier today. At any rate, I love geometry, but there was a prerequisite that I didn't have, so I went to the registrar. I don't know if Sharon is in the room. Is Sharon in the room, our registrar? I don't think she is, I didn't see her. But I went to the registrar and said, of course you can't register, you don't have the prerequisite. And so she said, you'll have to talk to the professor. So again, freshman, I go to see, and I'm going to identify the person because he's actually in the room, my dear friend and mentor and colleague, Professor Dilip Datta. Dilip, why don't you just stand up so everybody sees where you are. Thank you. So I went to Professor Datta rather sheepishly, saying, hey, I'm a freshman, but I really would like to, I don't want to wait a full year. It was only offered in the spring. I don't want to wait a full year to take your class. So will you let me into your class? Now, he's a first-year college professor thinking, wow, well, he wasn't thinking. He just said, oh, sure, why not? And he said, I'll use you as a test to see whether or not that prerequisite really makes sense. The really important part of this story is that connection with Professor Datta, my good friend Dilip, has lasted for 50 years. And to this day, he's one of my oldest and dearest friends in the world. And those are the kinds of, and I'll go back to what Chris said just a few minutes ago, the possibilities at Green Mountain College and the partnerships that are possible at Green Mountain College is really what I think we're all here for. So, Dilip, I thank you forever for our friendship, for your mentoring for me for the last 50 years, so thank you very much.